We're really excited to have you with us today for our eBay Shipping Success webinar. My name is Kleena. I'll be your host for today. I am eBay Australia's Seller Events and Engagement Specialist. And we know shipping is a really hot topic. And this session actually had huge interest. So we're expecting a lot of people to join today. I can see a good few people have joined already. So that is great. So before we go in, I'd like to just make an acknowledgement of country. I acknowledge the traditional custodians of the various lands on which we work today and the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people participating in this meeting webinar. I pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging, and recognise and celebrate the diversity of Aboriginal peoples and their ongoing cultures and connections to the lands and waters of Australia. So today we have a good agenda lined up. We'll be covering really great topics that I think everyone on the call will find really beneficial. Your questions from the registration form is really what helped us shape this agenda today. We took a look at what you wanted to hear, what you are hoping to get out of it, what you wanted us to talk about, and then like what comes next after that. So as mentioned before, we did have a great response to this session. And after taking a look at the registration form data that you all would have filled in prior to attending this webinar, we know that we've got a really diverse group here with us today. So just some stats just before we get kicked off. Around 60% of you are either new to selling or sell occasionally, while the other 40% are seasoned professional sellers. Nearly 2/3 of you are shipping fewer than 50 items per month. So we know simplicity is obviously like top of mind for you all. And because of that, we've packed today's session with lots of tips to help you streamline that postage process. And 75% of you told us you don't feel comfortable or confident on how to use eBay's postage rate tables. So we are going to deep dive into that in more detail in this session today. So stay tuned for that. So as you can see, yeah, this is our agenda for today. We'll do the introduction, which I'm getting into. We'll dive right into setting up postage preferences, go into accurate postage cost calculations. We'll discuss eBay's postage, domestic and international postage options. And then we will go into managing returns and resolving common shipping issues. So that is our lovely agenda for today. And just before we kick off into the content now, how can we get the most out of this webinar today? So we want this webinar to be an interactive webinar. Please ask your questions in the Q&A chat function. That's what it's there for. We actually have a team of staff from eBay here ready to answer any questions that come up. So when you're listening and you're not sure on something, you just want to dive in a little bit deeper, pop it in the Q&A function and our team will get back to you on it. We will share the slides out after and also some resources that will be helpful for you all too. So you don't need to worry about taking loads of notes and things like that because we'll share it with you. And then there will also be a feedback form at the very end of the webinar. So please wait until the end and to fill that in for us because providing feedback is so important. It really helps us improve our webinars for the sellers like you. So we have actually been running quite a few webinars in recent months that I think you will actually find quite useful. The first one there on the very left, returns on eBay. You can scan the QR codes here, and I think the links might be sent into the chat as well for direct link to watch them back. We'll also send them out after anyways as well, so you can take a look. But the returns on eBay one, this webinar was really helpful for anyone working with returns on eBay. During the webinar, the team delved into how returns can actually benefit your business and how eBay has your back when things don't go exactly to plan. Then we had our Sell Smarter workshop, which was run at Retail Fest about 2 months ago now. It was a workshop all around tools and tactics for eBay success. Went through different agenda items like building your brand. We had a great fireside chat with some eBay sellers. We went through advertising on eBay as well, so that's a good one to watch back. And then finished off with a really insightful session from our partners at Google on search evolution and feed optimization. So that's a good one to watch back. And then last but not least, our most recent one was our pre-loved fashion winter seller check-in. So yeah, we discuss all things to do with pre-loved fashion highlights, seasonal and category trends. We're seeing new product and program updates. So yeah, as I mentioned, you can scan the QR codes to watch them back, and we'll send them out to you after as well, just in case you have any interest in that. Cool. So yeah, we're really aiming to bring you more of these kind of webinar sessions that actually matter to our seller community. This is a huge part of our effort to create a calendar of content shaped by the seller's feedback. So thank you again for telling us what's working and what's not working from the registration form and other feedback forms that we've sent out. So yeah, if any questions, just to reiterate, if any questions come up, have that Q&A function, and please feel free to use that throughout. Our team is here to answer the questions. So that's myself, your host for today, and I will hand over to Keaton now, who is our senior manager of shipping and trust here at eBay. Keaton is a true expert in all things to do with shipping, and all things to do with logistics, to the bigger picture of customer experience. So we're very lucky to have Keaton's leadership in this space. And I know you'll learn a lot from what he has to say now. So I'll hand off to you, Keaton.
Very kind words. Thank you, Kleena. Hey everyone, and thanks for joining today. I'm Keaton, and I've got the pleasure of taking you through this session on mastering postage on eBay. So as Kleena mentioned today, we'll be going through everything from setting up your delivery options within the listing flow, using eBay labels, selling internationally as well as handling returns and any hiccups, any common shipping challenges that you have. So whether you're brand new or you're running a growing store, it's all about helping you feel more confident and in control of your shipping setup. So again, as Kleena mentioned, a huge thank you for filling out the pre-webinar survey. That's really helped us shape and make this session as useful as possible. There's a lot of common themes, and yeah, so fingers crossed everyone will benefit from the session. So to kick things off, I'll start with setting up delivery options. So because a lot of casual sellers will list on the app, on the eBay app, I'll run through an example of setting up a listing through the app experience. A lot of this will resonate with, say, if you're a business seller or you like to list your items on desktop. A lot of it is transferable. So, but I'll hopefully go through each point and where the benefits are. So here's my example. I'm listing an item. I was saying, what could I list as an example? So went into my wardrobe and I noticed this very loud short sleeve shirt that I think I'm a little bit too old to wear now. So I'm gonna list it on eBay and pass it on to someone who would benefit from this shirt. So what I've done, I've gone on to list the item, filled in the item title, the description, the item specifics, and then it comes down to the delivery part. And obviously that's typically the hardest part for people to fill in. So what we've done over the past, you may have seen latest improvements where as a casual seller, you'll see this field is now pre-filled. As within eBay, we have a lot of data from past listings, from past sales, so we should typically know what you should be shipping your item in. I've listed a shirt here. So within a shirt category, it would expect that it's probably going to be around 500 grams, around 30 by 20 by 3. So it's going to be sending in a satchel. So so what that does, like with that pre-filled information, it gives you that calculated estimate of what the postage is going to be. The service that is pre-selected and it's recommending here is eBay Postage Labels. What eBay Postage Labels is, it's a blended rates between what what you gain access to when your item sells on eBay. It's we call it the eBay label platform. And that has access to our two carriers, Australia Post and Sendle. So you get access to discounted rates on eBay once your item sells. So the clever part of this example here of calculated postage is depending on the buyer location, it will dynamically show the postage cost on your item when you've listed it. So, for example, if I'm a buyer based in Sydney and I'm selling in Sydney, then you typically see the $6.79 showing up when you want to purchase at checkout. And then once the item sells as a seller, you would gain access to see a postage cost at $6.79. So you're not at loss there. So that's explaining, eBay Postage Labels, calculated postage. But there's you can go in, you can change these things, you can click in here. And what it sends you through, as I explained, we recommend, based on the item category, typically what the package size is going to be. If you feel, I'd always recommend to double check this and make sure it's accurate, because if you're then using the label platform once the item sells, then it feeds through this information. So you want to make sure you're correctly declaring the right package weight and size. As well, if you choose, you know what carrier you want to send it with, and you're not going to be using the label platform, you can go in here and choose a different carrier. And then the postage cost. So this is calculated and it varies based on the buyer location, but you can offer a flat fee. Say if you want to offer maybe a more discounted rate, say $5 flat across Australia, to help incentivize buyers to purchase the item, where you can't quite offer free. You can change in here and click flat and input $5. You can obviously then also select $0 for free postage. But what I would always what we notice, and some of you may have seen in e-commerce reports over the last year or so, the importance of buyer choice. So buyer choice helps. It reduces the friction at checkout. Depending on the buyer situation, one buyer may want their item quicker. They may want that security on the item, maybe a signature. They may want it tracked if it's an untracked delivery. So we want to give that buyer choice, and we see that listings with multiple ship options do convert better. So one example here is you're listing an item with standard delivery, also offer an express delivery, and you can pass on that premium of the postage cost to the buyer. So there's no cost to yourselves. In a case where you're selling a low value item, say maybe a trading card, low value item, you want to send it in an untracked letter, but then also offer a tracked option too, that the buyer would pay for an upgrade to a track service. And then I'd always recommend local pickup, enabling local pickup. There might be someone closer to you, and it means that they're not having to pay for postage if you are passing the postage on to the buyer. So, and on top of that, we also have click and collect. So you may have seen this if you're a shopper on eBay. Majority of listings will see you can select a store. We partner with Hubs and Parcel Point, and they display, there's over 2,000 locations across Australia where sometimes buyers want their item delivered to a location other than their home for convenient pickups, maybe some after hour, maybe news agents or service stations. And this is what the network of click and collect offers. So again, it helps. Again, it's another form of providing a buyer choice for the buyer there. There's no setup required. All sellers are enabled onto that. So that's an additional point there. So we've already got a standard service selected here on my example here, and then I want to add another service. So I click into here and I want to add an express service. So I see here Australia Post Express Parcel. And when you see a rate here, this is a rate that is available through our label platform. So I can see that the shipping cost would be $14.65, and it's a flat fee for Australia Post Express Parcel via the label platform. And we click done there. And then what that does, that populates the express option into my delivery services there. And then the next part, so we're coming down to delivery, and we see post internationally. And simply it's a toggle on to switch on selling internationally. And what that does, it obviously the reach is to millions of buyers globally around the world, and it really caters for those in-demand categories in such as fashion, collectibles, and Aussie brands as well. So for my example, I'm switching it on. So it's an Aussie branded shirt in fashion. So it gives that extended reach to anyone globally who can accept my item. And just so you're aware, with regards to tax, the GST tax, say US sales tax, depending on what country, it's all collected by eBay at checkout where required. So there's nothing you need to do as a seller. There's no need to calculate or manage these taxes. eBay will remit that and they'll pass it on to the tax authority. So nothing you need to do on your side there. So going through into to choose a service for international. So you have access as an eBay seller to Australia Post International services. So I'm selected here, Australia Post International Standard, and the rates here are again what you can receive when your item sells, and you can get it on the label platform. We get a discounted rate with Australia Post International, and within that as well, it's a real simplified pre-filled custom form as well. I'll go through I've got an example later on that I can show through, but it helps. Obviously, that can be daunting that time. If you are looking to sell internationally, that customs form is a lot of questions right behind that, but we try and make that as simple as possible for you. And Australia Post International is a duties unpaid service. So buyers may need to pay import taxes when the item arrives into their country prior to delivery. But within the experience, within checkout, eBay clearly notifies buyers at checkout on that. So no surprises for the buyer. Cool. So I've chosen my international service. Click done here, and this is the delivery setup. So I can go through here, click done, and it sends me through to the list, back to the listing summary. It's now got a lot more information here. Originally, it just had the eBay Postage label service. We've now got Express. We've now got International, and then we want to scroll down. We're almost there, listing the item. And now it's coming to the final preferences. So I wanted to point out, so these are the areas where you can look at handling time, look at your returns policy. And to point out in particular the handling time, it directly affects your obviously your estimated delivery on the item page. And we know that delivery estimates really help. The quicker your item is going to be delivered, the more likelihood of a sale. So the quicker you can handle your item and dispatch, the more likelihood, and obviously input that into your listing, the better likelihood of a sale. And then going into returns. So returns helps reduce that buyer hesitation, that risk upon the purchase decision. So accepting returns, offering even longer return windows, and or offering free returns where possible. These are each individual chances of improving the chance of your sale. So the value of returns is super important. So I click through here into preferences, and you can change your handling time to either same day, you can go up to 3 days, But yeah, I'd recommend at least, yeah, the 1 to 2 mark. Sorry, the 0 to 1 mark if you can handle quicker. Going into returns policy, I've gone in and I've changed it to from 30-day to 60-day to help reduce that risk for the buyer. And I've also said that I'd pay for the postage as well. Cool. So that's kind of a lot of the options you can select there as a casual seller listing on the app. So I go down to the bottom and I click list, and here's your live listing. Well, here's my live listing, and I've got a few pictures in there. I've got the title, and I've quite a modest price, I'd say, for the item. And then here's the postage. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm a seller based in Sydney. And for this example, the buyer who's looking at this is based in Sydney as well. So they're seeing this $6.79 postage. And and then the delivery estimates, that's based on my 1 day handling time, and it adds on based on the standard service, the estimated delivery date there. Going into seeing more options of deliveries before you go into checkout, you can see what else is available. So you can pay $14.65 for an express option as well, and you get it quicker. It also displays the returns options available for that buyer too. Cool. So that's a listed item. That's hopefully I've gone through that in enough detail with a bit of benefit there, but this caters for your casual seller. I will go into a bit more detail into as a business seller, setting up business postage policies and rate tables going into a second. But I wanted to also mention about eBay's postage calculator. So we do have a link. There's a QR code at the top here. It might be shared in the comments as well. But this gives you an idea of the postage costs that are accessible via eBay. So we get some great rates with Sendle. We get up to 50% discount depending on the item and the buyer location. And we get with Australia Post, we get discount on their new 250-gram rate, which is amazing. And you can input the so you start off here, you'd input the weight and the dimensions of the item, and then your delivery postcode. I'm based in Manly, so I'd put in my postcode here, and then I put an example of, okay, what if it's delivered into Sydney CBD? But you can leave that optional, and it will give you a range of rates there. But to give you that example, that close same city delivery, we get some really good rates accessible via eBay. So I'd check out that if you're curious about how rates work against the types of items you're selling. Cool. I'm going to pause for a second there to take all that in. And now go straight into postage policies and rate tables. So this is going for your more store sellers, your business sellers, and it's going into how to set up the business policies for efficiency. So I've gone through those delivery options, setting them up for a single listing. But obviously, if as a business seller you're selling lots and lots of different items, it'll be quite hard to do that every single time. So what a postage policy will do is almost a set and forget. So you'll put in all this information as within a postage policy, and then for any new listing you're bringing onto eBay, you can attach that listing to have that postage policy when you list it. And also I'll go into postage rate tables. So say if you get negotiated rates with a carrier direct, you can go, say you're with direct with Australia Post, you get My Post Business rates. You can input those rates into our rate table, and they can dynamically display on the item page based on the buyer location. So similar to what we have the calculated postage through eBay labels, you can do that with the rates that you get access to for your from your carrier of choice, and so there's accurate charge and there's no loss there. Cool. So those who haven't set up business policies on your account, so you go into your account settings on eBay and you click underselling those business policies, and within that, all it is a simple click to get started and away you go. You go into there, it sends you to the business policies page, and you can create either a postage or returns policy. I'm going to show you through an example of setting up a postage policy in this session. So this is what it looks like. So creating a postage policy, the policy name you want to just depending on what you want to do, you can put in the policy name, description if you want, and then the postage method. So typically a lot of items you'll be sending as a small or medium items. The other options are also freight if you're sending a heavier item, or if you're only wanting local pickup only, you can select no delivery within here. And then we have a cost type. So we have this for domestic, and also further down there's international. And the two different types is either flat. So that's offering the same cost to all buyers. That's when if you want to offer free postage on a set number of listings, you can do that for this policy, for example. Or if you want to do flat fee, it's say $5 nationwide. Or if you want to, like I said, if you want to show the rates dynamically for what you gain access to from your carrier, you can then, when it says flat, you can then attach your postage rate table to this policy. Calculated, if you want to choose calculated, you can do, but that will be the rates that will display that are accessible via eBay labels. And obviously, some of the rates, you may get different rates from the carrier direct that you want to ingest. So if we scroll down into this policy, you can see rate table. When I've chosen flat, you choose rate table, and you can click in here and create new. So just before I leave off this screen, the rest of the business policy, you can set up the handling time for that, those set listings you want to apply to this policy to, and also excluded locations. Within that, you can exclude regions, but then if you're, say, using a carrier other than Australia Post for particular deliveries for this policy, you can exclude PO box addresses, so there's no hiccups upon label creation on your side upon fulfillment. So I want to go and click in to create a new postage rate table. So this is what it looks like on the left. On the right. It's obviously quite neat to start off with, and there's three options. So you've got an item rate table, a weight-based rate table, or surcharge. And there's three different scenarios for that. So when it's flat, so it'd be a fixed cost by region. So yeah, you've got a rate table, and you know by item you want to offer say you've got items within a certain weight band. You know that all of them are going to apply the same rate, same cost. So you can use flat, and that's quite simple there. With calculated, so you may want to apply this postage rate table to a range of your products, and apply your rate card that you get from your carrier. So it dynamically will show the right postage cost when it's the right weight, a different product. So the cost varies based on the weight and size of the parcel, and it's in 1 kilogram increments. So there'll be an additional column that will show along here that will say what's the additional cost per kilo, and basically you map in what your rate table is into this table here. And just to reiterate on dimensional weight, or some carriers will call it cubic weight. So we apply the same weight calculation to all carriers. So it's either based on the dead weight or the cubic or dimensional weight, whichever's the heavier. And here's a calculation there of how we apply it to, which is the same as other carriers. But yeah, and what I was going to mention as well is we also have international rate tables too. So if you get better rates and you want to display that, if you're selling internationally, you can set up an international rate table. So with the pre-webinar survey, we did see a lot of responses about how do I set up. I have band 5 Australia Post rates. How do I show that on eBay? So you can do that via Postage rate tables. So because there's a few questions on that, I'm going to show you through an example. And so here's an example here. Here's the latest rates with Australia Post, My Post Business, and it's showing Band 5 region rates here. So what I want to be displaying is these individual rates based on the weight and size of my item. Because these rates aren't in 1 kilo increments, I would need to set them up individually. So there'd be at least five for the My Post Business. Obviously, it sounds daunting and it's 5 different times you're going to have to do this, but it's a set and forget, like I said. And you'd only need to update them once if there's ever a rate change from Australia Post side. So I'm going to go through an example here of I want to set up a postage rate table for a 250 gram for my 250 gram items, my lightweight items, and these are the rates I get. So for zone 1, I get $5.82. Zone 2 is $7.76, and zone 3 is $9.22. And how Australia Post explain the zones, it's typically if you're based in the same capital city, for example, then zone 2 is a delivery to a major area, and zone 3 is rural. So how we want to map the regions on eBay to Australia Post is we have a downloadable rate table region and postcode list. It's on our Seller Center postage rate tables page. You should get a link in the chat about this, and it's a simple click to download this Excel file. And what it does, it gives you this list. So these are the eBay regions, and this is how it maps to Australia Post. So how I wanted to set it up with the 3 different zones, I wanted to show, I want to first select the zone 1 regions. And what I did, as I'm based in Sydney myself, I would click here, I'd filter, I'd go to capital cities, and I'd select Sydney. What the regions would spit out that I'd need to select in the eBay postage rate tables is these 3 here, is Sydney, Sydney Fringe, and Sydney PO boxes. So I would select that, and that's my zone 1 done. And then I'd need to, then I'd input the $5.82 rate. The next step for me, and I thought was easiest, is filling in the zone 3 rate and selecting them. So again, you'd filter, you'd click rural, and then you'd see all the regions that you'd need to select there. So here's what it looks like as a final piece. So firstly, I set up the $5.82. That's these 3 regions for zone 1. Zone 3 are these regions here, and it's at $9.90. Oh, $9.22 is a typo there. And then the rest of it is zone 2. So obviously there's a lot more regions in zone 2. And because we've already selected regions for zone 1 and zone 3, it's very simple then to you can select all. So that's a really quick done. And then you input the zone 2 rates there. So that's it. It looks daunting because there's a lot of regions all spat out there, but it's just a quick ticking exercise, filling in the rates, and then that's my 250 gram done. I need to repeat that for the other rates if you do have if I do have a range of items into different bands that Australia Post offer. But yeah, like I said, it's a set and forget, and then you attach that to your postage policies, and away you go, and they will show dynamically on your listings. I know it's a lot to take in. Hopefully everyone's gathered there, but yeah, any more questions, please feel free to put it in the chat, and we can hopefully answer them after that. Cool. So yeah, there was also a lot of questions on the label platform. So I wanted to show you through an example of what it looks like for all types of sellers, for your casual sellers, all the way up to your business sellers, in how you can print labels simply on eBay. So once your item sells, you go to your orders, and you'll see there's a prompt, there's a click or purchase postage label option, and what it does, it sends you straight to this page here. So this is an example if you're sending 1 item, and this is what we call our eBay's label platform. So the information here is spat out from the listing, So it's a 2 kilogram. So this one here, I've sold a non-stick round roasting pan at 2 kilos, and these are the dimensions of the item. So I'd always double check before I'm about to purchase. I was like, right, okay, they're definitely the right dimensions of the parcel I'm sending this pan in. And then you have options. There's so between Sendle and Australia Post, these are the discounted rates you get access to. So with this example here, you can choose either send or drop off. So send will have an option where you can drop off at many convenient locations nationwide. And then they also have a pickup solution. So free pickups from your home or from your office. And it's a really, really cool experience there. And on top of that, they have a printer-free solution. So those who are casual sellers, this really caters a lot for what we see our fashion sellers. But yeah, if you don't have access to a printer, we have access to printer free, and that's what I'm going to show you through here. So I've selected Sendle Parcel Pickup as my service. And then I'll scroll down, and what it has here, it has a module where you select what day you want to pick it up. What it does, it default to tomorrow, to the next day, for the item to get picked up from your place. I'm based in, it's going to get picked up from 42 Wallaby Way for any Finding Nemo fans out there. And it's going to be collected from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. By the Sendle driver. So and then it comes down to the label format. So you can choose if you have a label, if you have a printer, you can have it. So you put a label on the parcel. But in my case, I didn't have a printer at home, so I would choose no printer required. If you want some more information on how it works, there's you can click through here on the label platform, and it gives you a step-by-step of how the printer-free experience works with Sendle on eBay. But yeah, so this is it. I've got my label here for $10.65 to send it to someone in Queensland. So I click purchase postage label, and for this example with printer free, it would give me let me know that the collection's booked, and it's going to get collected tomorrow. Obviously I did this on Monday, so it's getting collected on Tuesday, 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. And what you need to do is write the tracking number and the to and from address on the parcel in a marker pen, and the driver will come collect it on the Tuesday and attach a barcode, and they'll scan and attach the address of pickup to the recipient of who's going to receive the parcel. So it's really clever. Gives you the step-by-step guide here for that. But if maybe you change your mind, you still have access to print your label as well. But this is the experience for printer free. When it's a printable service, say Australia Post or Sendle drop off, you do have access to once you click pay for postage label, the postage label will show here, and then you get access, yeah, again to print the label for you there. Cool. So that's what it looks like when you print one label. And here's buying in bulk. So as a business seller, you can select multiple items that you've sold, and you need to pay for postage. And this is what it looks like. So 2 examples here. What it does, based on the location of the user, it will then give you the estimated cost. It's already selected the best service to use here, and the total for the 2 options there. And you click review purchase, and what it does, it'll give you the 2 labels together to print together for efficiency as a business seller. Cool. And then going into international, so international labels, we have 5% discount with Australia Post, and you have access to either standard or express service there. You scroll down, and it gives you this customs form. So obviously it looks like there's a lot of blanks still there, but we actually pre-fill in the majority of the most useful information, which is the item description, the item value, and the weight of the package. The only thing you need to do yourself here would be input the HS tariff code. So we can't pre-fill that in ourselves at the minute. But there is a link when you click on this info icon. There's a free trade agreement portal that clicks you through. All you need to input is, okay, I'm selling a a shirt, and it will give you either a 6 to 10 digit HS tariff code to input there on the customs form. Then going down into these fields here, so I'd say these are optional fields. But if you are selling a higher value item, I'd recommend where you have this information to input it, so there's no issues through customs. But yeah, if you're typically selling a lower value item, say I'm selling my shirt internationally, I wouldn't be filling out this information there. Okay, the other option here as well is package protection. So it automatically will give you an option if you would like to add extra cover. So typically, I didn't mention this earlier, but typically we have Australia Post will offer up to $100 on coverage for the item. But for this example, the item's nearly $400. So to add extra cover, it will automatically calculate how much that would cost for you, and it's $11.40, and it's calculated based on the declared value. You can also add require signature delivery at an extra cost as well with this Australia Post example. Cool. So hopefully I sent you through the label platform, and that's made a lot of sense. Again, ask questions. We're getting close to time, but I'll run you through the returns and any shipping hiccups that you may go through. So one of the ones that come up a lot is incorrect addresses. So I'd always recommend double checking the buyer details before dispatch. It's just a simple look at the label. If there's any issues, make sure you're clearing that up with the buyer, and also from yourselves. Like as a seller, make sure you've got if you offer returns, you've got the correct return address in there. Your dispatch address is correct in the case of maybe a return to sender. Make sure those details are up to date, and there's no returns back to an old address of yours, for example. Under declared parcels, so I kind of went through this with the example where we would recommend the weight and size of a parcel, but always double check you've got the correct dimensions and weight on your listings. It's super important, as that information is also used for when a buyer is returning their item, and it will help give them the right cost for the label, for the return label that's via eBay. Lost in transit. So if there's any lost in transit cases, so as I said before, there is cover on carriers up to $300 with Sendle, $100 with Australia Post, and open a case through them for any lost in transit claims, and ensure it's also talking about the value of tracking. So tracking is super important to make sure you're covered in the best way. Obviously with claiming through a carrier, but then also making sure that you are covered with any issues, any cases on eBay side. We'll get behind you if there is tracking, you've done your part, and it's not your fault that the item hasn't been delivered to the buyer correctly. We do have eBay money back guarantee, and that helps cover for any buyer issues if the item hasn't been received for, say, lost in transit, or if there's any not as described, the item arrived damaged cases. Sellers must provide in those cases a label, which is mostly accessible through eBay, or reimburse a return label if an eBay label isn't available, an eBay return label isn't available. But yeah, like I said, to finish off, ensure that clear returns policies. I'd always recommend that, and tracking, using track services, super vital, and uploading tracking if you're not using the label platform. I forgot to mention the value of eBay labels does automatically upload tracking to your order as well. So great benefit for you and also your buyer to get those tracking numbers, and also you get those prompts. But if you want more information on the returns, I did a webinar a month or so ago, and it's in this QR code here, and the link will be shared below. Key takeaways. So we've got 3 takeaways here. So yeah, get your delivery settings right at the listing step. So using accurate weight and size, offering tracked options, as I've mentioned a couple of times now, and buyer choice, super important. This builds trust and improves conversion, as we see. Use eBay Postage labels to save time and money. As I said, up to 50% off with Sendle, some great rates available. Printer-free options include automatically tracking is automatically showed on your order, and discounted rates. International with a simple pre-filled form. And then lastly, returns and tracking to help protect your business. So that longer windows helps reduce, again, more of that buyer hesitation, that risk when they're purchasing the item. And track postage helps support for any seller protections that we can help you with to speed up any issue resolution. So that's it for me there. I hope everyone's taken off a lot of information, but really valuable, hopefully. I'll hand it back to Cleaner now to wrap up, but please send off any questions, and I'll finish off with the team to make sure any unanswered questions are answered. But yeah, thank you very much for your time and listening to me, and hopefully got some great value from it.
Okay, yes, as Keaton mentioned, that does bring our session to a close. But before we wrap, we have a very brief couple of minutes left for Q&A. I can see there's lots and lots of questions being answered by the eBay team in the background. So if there's anything still on your mind, just drop it into the Q&A function now. Our team is still here in the background to support. Thank you so much to Keaton, our speaker, for sharing such valuable insights today. And of course, thank you to everyone who has joined the call today. Thank you for asking your questions as well. And yeah, thank you for just taking the time to be here. Yeah, as I mentioned, I just hope that you found the session useful, practical, and hope you got some good takeaways. Before you go, we'd love for you to fill out a feedback form. It'll just take about 2 or 3 minutes. You can do this by scanning the QR code on screen, or there's a link popped in the chat as well. Your input really, really does matter, as I mentioned at the beginning. It's what helped us shape this session today. It helps us understand what's really working, where we can improve, and what topics you really want to hear about next. So yeah, we will share all the resources mentioned on this webinar out after in an email to everyone that was registered. And yeah, our goal is to keep building a series like this and have different webinars that truly support you and your business. So yeah, just help us shape that calendar by letting us know and by filling the feedback form in. So that is it from us today. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you again for joining, and hope to see you in the next session. Thank you.